So a couple things. Let's dive into the offense a little bit. Now, certainly there were some positives, right? First of all, if you didn't have any rooting interest in this game, if you're just sitting objectively in Iowa somewhere, it's a fun game to watch because it was back and forth and crazy, right? It was one of those kind of games, just felt like a shootout. But you think it early on, man, you get the field goal, you drive right down the field. Unfortunately, you can't cash it. You get the field goal, and then you get the sweat pick 6, and you're like, whoa, okay. It's going to be, the Eagles' night. Obviously, Dallas responded after that. But let's go offensively, and we get your impressions. Minshew ends up going 24 of 40, 355, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, which we talked about, which we can continue to dig into, and an 84.9 passer rating. They didn't sack him, although he was under some duress a couple times. Give me your impressions. Gunnar, you can start first. What did you think of Minshew and the way he played?
He played the game I thought he would play. The moment was not too big for him. He didn't look rusty. I love the way Sirianni and Steichen formulated the game plan to get him comfortable in the game plan. Mm-hmm. I thought he handled himself well, even under duress. I loved how when there were times when I thought he was going to get sacked, whether it was from the right or the left, he slid away from the pressure to buy a little bit more time to get the ball downfield. Mm-hmm. I thought he had – the biggest thing I came away saying jokingly was, well, it just goes to show our backup is better than their backup. No question about that.
That's a good point.
And I thought he handled himself like a seasoned veteran in a humongous magnitude of a game.
Okay. Barrett?
Same thing, man. He played up the expectation. He threw for 355 yards. But even with that, we just can't get past the turnovers.
Yep.
Did he play well enough for us to win this game? He most surely did. But everybody has to step up. And one thing we talked about going into this game is we have to make sure that we play, and everybody has to play a little better when you're dealing with a backup quarterback. People have to take it to another level. They can't expect to win without the starter. And shoulda, coulda, and woulda. If Hurts would have played in this game, it'd have been a blowout. Just put it like that. It'd have been a blowout.
Yeah.
Number one, I think he's more consistently a better magician as far as making things happen than Gardner Minshew. Remember those times where he ran out the pocket? He wasn't even trying to turn the corner.
No.
You know what I'm saying? He was just trying to get at least a yard.
Yeah. Or he just wants to buy himself a little bit of time to throw it, which is fine. That's who he is, right? But you're right. Like if you're Dallas, you're like, all right, we don't have to worry about any of that we'd have to worry about with Jalen. Even early in that first drive that I was referring to, Minshew did take off and Parsons got him easily from behind. It wasn't, it was like nothing. If that's Jalen, that's a different story. By the way, Parsons MIA in the game. He did very little in that game. I thought they did a nice job on him. But yeah, I agree with you guys. Like people are beating him up pretty good in the chat. I thought he was okay. Like I thought he's a backup quarterback. He wasn't gonna come out there and light the world on fire. I think he's serviceable, and as a Barrett, you make a great point. Like as backups go, he's one of the better ones in the league. You usually have a big drop off here. I thought he was okay, but great points by both of you guys. Like not only do you have to up your game, you sure as hell can't turn the ball over when you got a backup quarterback playing in a monster game like that. And this has been a troubling trend here the last couple of weeks.
Look at it like this too also. Okay, he had the 3 picks, but he still played well enough for this team to win.
Yeah.
He moved them down the field. He made some key throws on that final drive.
A lot of 4th down and 3rd down conversions, Derek.
Okay. So I don't know many quarterbacks that would have done that in that situation.
Yep.
So even though he had some flaws, he still had the wherewithal and the cool, calm collectiveness to get that team down there within striking distance and give them a chance to win. It wasn't like he just threw 3 interceptions and they were done. No, he put some fear in that Dallas defense on that last drive. So
absolutely.
I know people want to beat him up, but I do say number one, Quez Watkins was responsible for 2 of those interceptions.
Yep.
For his inability to fight for the ball. And number 2, hey, your big time running back made one of the most crucial mistakes of the game, So don't just pin this all on Gardner Minshew. He's a significant reason why they had a fighting chance to win this game at the end.
Yeah, I thought he was fine. Like if he has to go Sunday against the Saints, I feel fine about Gardner Minshew. I think as a team, there's things they have to clean up, but I think he'll be fine. The other thing that was disappointing to me is, in addition to the huge fumble, Miles, 21 rushes, 65 yards. That's 3 yards per carry. He's got to be better. They got to block it up better. Your running game has to be more supportive of a backup quarterback. Like, Minshew throwing 40 times. I know it was a shootout kind of game. I get it. But for 355 yards is not ideal. You'd rather there be less pressure on him to have to do that kind of thing.
Absolutely. And that goes, that's the effect that you have when you don't have Jalen Hurts in there. Remember, we talked about that just extra second that the defense has to worry about whether he's going to keep it, hand it off, or throw it. That Jalen Hurts brings to the table. That's what we're talking about as far as the Jalen Hurts effect. There was no sense of, all right, that Gardner Minshew was going to keep the ball. So it wasn't just like a read and react and then go. It was just read, react, and we're either going to stop the run or we're going to stop the pass.
Right.
That's the difference. But we still play, good enough that we should have that, at least that running game that we've seen before. Now, it's not like we abandoned it. We kept doing it. It just wasn't effective. And sometimes, you're not going to have those big running games where you have over 100 yards rushing, but you got to keep going, and keep pounding and keep pounding. And eventually you'll pound them into submission. But once they were tied with us and we didn't get up on them, it kind of changed the game plan on how aggressive we were in throwing the ball.
Yeah.
The thing that really got me, and I'm still sitting here trying to figure out why, Dallas was giving up 140 yards a game rushing. Okay.
Yeah, they're bottom 5 in the league.
You ran the ball 29 times, yet you only had 87 yards against that defense against the run. So what was lacking in the overall run defense? Because I thought if they ran the ball more effectively, like we've been accustomed to seeing, that game would not have been as close as well. They could have controlled the clock a lot better had they been able to control the ground game more. And I still can't figure out how they averaged less than 4 yards a carry against the Dallas defense.
Yeah.
Really, even without Jalen Hurts in there, they still should have been able to pound that Dallas defense between the tackles on the run.
Agreed.
And I don't know. I didn't see Dallas doing anything differently. I didn't see him stacking the line of scrimmage because that would have been dumb. You saw how both Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown still had over 100 yards receiving against me. That would have been stupid on their part. Did you just go, load the box and try to go man for man against Devontae, especially? I did not know Devontae had the kind of ups he had. That one pass he caught over the middle, I did not know he could get up like that.
And that was behind him a little bit too, Derek. He was spectacular. I'm telling you, it may be not yardage, but I thought it was his best game as an Eagle. He was spectacular.
And I know we're gonna get into a football segment, later on, but 2,000-yard receivers and 1,000-yard rusher.
Yeah,
amazing.
Yep.
That's amazing, dude. I mean, really, it's something to behold. It's rarefied air that that you're seeing here
right
with this team. But no, Devontae was great. On the positive note, Devontae was great. AJ was really good. He unfortunately took that pretty hard shot on his knee, but thankfully, looks like he's going to be okay. But both guys were over 100. And AJ had the big one early where he kind of blew a tire, and I was worried about that too because it was a non-contact, but he was, he was okay. He might have taken that in had he not blown the tire early on that one.
Yep.
But both guys over 100. Would you like Goddard to get maybe more than 3 passes? Yeah, I think that's a complaint. A legitimate beef. He had 3 catches for 67. But I thought they did some good things offensively. And the other thing is, to Minshew's, I guess in his defense, I don't know, whatever. But man, the guy hasn't started in a year.
Right.
If he has to go this week, I think he'll look a lot better, a lot comfortable with game action.
Absolutely. And that's key that we say that too, because of course, looking at him another week of practice, game reps with that offensive line, they're calling, they know exactly what they need to call now to really put Minshew in a better position to win more. This could be, this could be big for this team and understanding how they can approach this, because yes, we need to win, but we now have a means in which we can win because we know what his strengths are and what he does best.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they'll do a better job playing to it in this game for sure. And again, we don't know. I mean, there hasn't been any kind of announcement. We don't know what the setup is and what it's going to look like,
Here, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I'm just sort of pondering.
Here's something to keep a close eye on, because football can be as much psychological as it is physical, okay? Now, we have applauded Miles Sanders for not fumbling the football all season long. Now he's had 2 key fumbles at the most inopportune time. Body language says a lot. And look at his body language after he coughed that ball up in Dallas. I mean, and listen to his tone of voice after the game in the locker room talking to the media. Now, he had 4 fumbles last year, okay? And people are, I saw people in the chat talking about how, not the chat, but on social media. Here we go. Miles Sanders missed a fumble again, just like last year. First of all, every running back fumbles a football, okay? You minimize it, but okay, so he still has only 2 fumbles in 15 games. This fumble cost him. It was a big fumble.
Huge.
Do we have to closely watch his body language moving forward now? Because he coughed up one in Chicago, was it?
Yes. Yes.
And now on the national stage in Dallas, okay? Something he had not done all season long. Now it's happened twice in a short amount of time. I think you have to watch the body language. He's had a phenomenal season. All he's done is enhance it. Look at his total touchdowns compared to 2021, yards per scrimmage compared to 2021. Everything a running back in a contract year needs, he's been able to do. But now, moving forward, last 2 regular season games, if he plays that last game, and the playoffs, we have to closely monitor the body language, because what happens if he coughs up a ball against the Saints this game?
That's a great question.
It's a huge problem mentally moving forward.
Yeah, no, you're right. You make a really good point with that. I would personally, I try and get him going early against the Saints, just from a confidence standpoint. For him, for the team, I don't think he can hurt. That's what that would be part of my game plan if I'm Steichen and Sirianni, no matter who the quarterback is. I try and get Miles Sanders off early and just try to get his head right if he is, in fact, in his head a little bit here. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Barry, you're muted, bud.
Especially against a team like the Saints, in which we've ran the ball on them consistently the past 2 times with over 200 yards rushing on them. But a lot of that was Jalen, though, going out there and impacting the game, though. But, we're going to have to run the ball on them. They're good defensively, very good defensively. They can do a lot of things to rush the passer, in which we got to worry about. We have to worry about it. So, I mean, it's imperative that we go out there with the mindset that we got to totally out-physical this team.
You have a Saints defense that has 2 pretty good edge rushers in Cameron Jordan and Marcus Davenport. This is a Saints defense also that has 40 sacks as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're talking about a defense that's sprinkled with Pro Bowlers throughout that defense. Lattimore on the back end, Tyrann Matthews back there as well. The Eagles, if the Eagles blow this team out, we say, okay, the superior team won. I don't know if it's going to be a blowout, to be honest with you. They have talent. Andy Dalton has been the biggest problem with that team. Sometimes he plays like a Pro Bowler. Sometimes he plays like he flushed down the toilet bowl. You don't know. You don't know week in and week out which quarterback is going to show up.
Yeah.
Rich Gannon talked about it. Look at all the close games we've had this year in the National Football League. Look at all the upsets we've had throughout the course of the National Football League. And now this Eagles team is nicked up at key positions. Okay. And if there's one thing that Dennis Allen does well, he will exploit a weakness, and that's a huge weakness on the right side of that line. I don't care if it's Jack Driscoll over there. I don't care if you move Mailata over there. Mailata has played better compared to what we were looking at a few weeks ago, but he still is much better. It's much more natural on the left side than the right side.
No question. I mean, the one thing, and I probably should have pointed this out earlier, that I feel, good about is, I feel like if there's anybody who can figure out a way to maximize that spot with Lane out of there, whether it's Driscoll or moving the parts around, it's Jeff Stoutland. I think you have a good coach
absolutely.
There who will have a good feel on this. Like, let me put it this way, Barrett. If let's say they go with the Driscoll thing this week, okay, and let's say he doesn't look good this week, I think that will be changed if Lane can't go come playoff time. I think you will have 2 weeks where you can work with Mailata on the right and Andre on the left. I believe that's what the route they will go if this looks bad again on Sunday.
Okay. Well, then Barrett, let me ask you this, because you having played the position, even though we've seen Mailata play that position before, he's not as comfortable on the right side as he is the left side. And now you're talking about not just another game, you're talking about one and done scenarios. How could that affect him psychologically? Because that's not his natural position moving over there.
And it won't be. I don't think it will affect him psychologically. I think he understands what this team needs him to do, so he'll have a different mindset on how he's going to approach the game. You won't get Jordan Mailata's going to go out there like, oh man, I don't want it. No, he knows that this is imperative that he goes out and has a great game going against Davenport on that side. I don't trust at this point, Stahl going over there, not Stahl, but what's his name?
Dillard and Mailata.
No. I mean the other guy going in there. Jack Driscoll. I don't trust Jack Driscoll being good enough at this point to go against those major pass rushers on that side of the ball. So when I look at him to be more stable offensively, move Jordan over there. He'll do it for the team, and he'll play at a high level for the team. I know Dillard will play at a high level for the team and go out there and do what he's supposed to do. I just think you have a better lineup going against them, and I think we'll be at full strength going against them with him being there. I think you could call whatever you want to call as far as play selection with him being there. I don't think you can do that with Driscoll being there. It just, to me, it won't be a good day. It won't be a good offensively productive game if Jack Driscoll's over there.
Okay. All right. Let's come back and dive into the defense here because, look, they gave up a lot of points in this game to Dallas. And Dak Prescott in particular got it together after that early pick, and the numbers against the Eagles zone in that game are frightening. So we'll talk about that and the injuries and the trickle-down effect with Maddox and some of the other things that are going on that side of the ball. So we'll dive into the Birds defense when we come back. Again, coming up 2 o'clock, our NFL segment, we'll jump around. We'll look at the playoff pictures. We'll go back to last night, watching that game as well. There's a lot to get into. Don't go anywhere. He's Barrett. He's Derek. I'm Rob. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. I want to tell you right now about Pro Action Restoration. Yes, Pro Action Restoration is the company that you reach out to if your home, your business, a property you own goes through the inconvenience of fire, of water, of smoke, of mold damage, you name it. The beauty is Pro Action Restoration is on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist. I can attest to this. I called them on a Saturday morning. They were right over. They fixed it up. The crew was incredible, clean. Price was right. Out of there. Problem fixed. Whew. Relief, right? They're licensed, bonded, fully insured. They've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. Pro Action will work in conjunction with your insurance company as well. So again, it could be any of the above and then some. If you're not sure, you reach out to them. But water, fire, smoke, mold damage, they can handle it. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or online at proactionrestoration.com. That's proactionrestoration.com.
Post-game show with Seth Joyner.
I knew that they had a running game.
Derek Gunn.
He has put in the effort.
Devin Caney.
Had we not won the Super Bowl, what would we be saying?
And Mike Missinelli.
Well, you know who Philly is.
Post-game, now streaming on the 6ABC family of apps.